In today's video, we're gonna talk about the 5 biggest training mistakes and how to avoid them. So let's get started. The first one is pretty simple, especially beginner triathletes. They like to overdo it. So overtraining. So how can you avoid that? Remember this simple equation. It's stress plus rest equals growth. Always remember this equation. If you have that in mind, you're gonna be safe. What does it mean? So you have stress, training stress, life stress, and you want to always even it out with enough rest. So if you train too much but you don't sleep right and you don't rest and you just don't calm down, you will never adapt and you will never grow and get better, and then you're sliding into overtraining. This is seriously one of the biggest mistakes. Okay, avoid that and keep in mind, if you train hard, you gotta rest hard too. The next one is so annoying for beginners because they just want to work out and don't want to worry about the technique. But seriously, the earlier you work on your technique, the better. You get more efficient, you will have less injuries, you'll just have more fun in the sport in general, and you will develop faster. So, for example, in the swim, it's really important to learn a good catch right from the beginning. A lot of people have their arms all over the place and they don't generate enough force. That's super important. The other thing is body position. A lot of beginner triathletes or like even advanced triathletes, they still drag their legs in the water and they don't have a streamlined water position. Those are the two biggest mistakes I see in the beginning. On the bike, it's usually that the hip is in a weird angle and the hands are weird too, so like it feels uncomfortable, and if someone sits on a bike for a long period of time, they just don't like it and they get discomfort. So the bike position is also something to really look into. And then the run, well, that's the most dangerous part actually, because in the run you have the pounding, and especially if you run on concrete and not on the soft surfaces, it's even harder on your body. You have a lot of pounding, and that's a lot of stress on the body. I mean, it's the simplest thing to do, running, right? You put your running shoes on and you just go out and go for it. It's fun, it's easy, it's cool, I get it, but really be careful. So one of the things to look out for is cadence. So a lot of beginner runners have a really relatively low cadence, so they're stomping around, which produces even more upward force on the body, and that's dangerous again. So definitely the cadence is something you want to look out for, and then the general stance. Like you want to land kind of under your body and not too far out, because you have to imagine that the force travels through your body up and then can cause a lot of stress in your hip and in your ligaments in general. So in the three sports, really right from the beginning, pay attention to these things and you will have so much more fun. And down the road, you will develop way faster. This is one of my most favorite topics, nutrition. My athletes absolutely love it when I bring it up. They love it, but it's super important. Okay, so a lot of people think, oh, in the beginning I might be a bit overweight or I'm not in ideal shape, whatever that means for that person. So I want to lose some weight, and they underfuel the workouts. Red ass and underfueling in general in endurance sports is a huge problem. A lot of people are scared to eat enough. So one of the most important concepts we have is fuel the work. So I wrote down 3 things here. The first thing is LIT, which means low intensity training. You should still eat at least 30 grams of carbs per hour. There's this whole discussion about, okay, I gotta train my fat metabolism and everything. Totally fine, but in the beginning, especially if you haven't tested your values yet, don't worry about it. Just fuel the work. Even if you do an easy session, eat at least 30 grams of carbs per hour. So that means if you have an easy training ride, like 2 hours on the bike, that would be 60 grams for that bike ride. And I recommend to even it out over the hours. So don't eat like after 60 minutes, a big bar, but like a little snack after 20 minutes, then after another 20 minutes, and after another 20 minutes. So your body gets constantly good fuel into the system. And then the same thing applies for the moderate intensity training, and especially for the high intensity training. A lot of people like to do these HIIT sessions these days. It's so modern. You get a really good workout in within an hour, you go all out. It's awesome and it's cool and it works, but if you don't fuel it right, you will not have the adaptation that you're looking for. You will just stress out your body. And remember, stress plus rest equals growth. If you stress out your body too much, and if you don't fuel it, you double the stress, and it's way too much stress that the body can't handle, then you don't get the adaptation. So make sure that you fuel those hard workouts. The other step that actually usually goes before that, but I teach that my athletes both hand in hand, calorie match. So especially if you progress from being more of a beginner or not being used to training and then start training, all of a sudden your overall calorie load will be much higher. And a lot of athletes are not used to eating that much more. In their heads, it's like, oh no, I want to lose weight, I have to eat even less. And that can be really dangerous, because let's say they burn 2,200 calories on a normal day. Just that's their resting metabolic rate. That's what they burn without doing anything. And now all of a sudden you add, like, let's say 1,400 calories with a training session. Okay, so you have 3,600 calories all of a sudden, but they're used to eating those calories up here. And let's say they don't even fuel the training session, so they might be able, even if they feel a bit hungry, to only eat 3,000 calories. Okay, so that's cool. You see the difference here? We have 600 calories that we're short. Let's do this a week in a row. You might lose some weight, but after a couple weeks, your system breaks down. You're just tired, and you're like, I don't know what's happening. I feel weak. I don't feel good. This sucks. And we want to avoid that. So for optimal adaptation, make sure to match those calories. And like I said, especially if you increase the distance and you're working towards middle distance and long distance, we have this saying in German, we say Speisen und Reisen, which means just eating and traveling. That's what long distance is. You really got to make sure to get those calories in. As you can see, I'm really intense about it, because this is one of the biggest problems, and it really hurts to see when, like, athletes are so passionate about the sport and they love it, but then they burn out or, get red ass just because they don't eat enough, because they got pressured into this from like a weird social view. So please, please, please avoid that and be nice to yourself. So the third biggest mistake is lacking the proper nutrition. And how can you avoid that? Well, do the math. With a Garmin or whatever, you can see how many calories you burn during your workouts, and then you can see your resting metabolic rate too. Do the math, add it up, and just make sure that you match those calories. At least that. And when you have a hard training session, fuel the hard training session. Please do it for your own good. All the speedsters better buckle up, because this is rough. We need to really train easy for endurance sports. Why? It's so much fun to hit the group right, just go for it, sprint here, there, left, right. Oh, there's a KOM, let's go. But you won't improve. And it's actually sad. I see a lot of people out there, they're just hammering every day and they don't improve. They pass me all the time and I'm like, hey, vroom. And then in the race, where are they? They're gone. They have nothing left. Why? Because they don't really develop their mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of our cells, and they produce energy in the form of ATP. Blah, 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 right? No, it's super important. So imagine, I put this into a concept that's way easier to understand. You can see these two wonderfully drawn, beautiful houses here. I know the first one looks more like a tree, but this is just to show you what I'm talking about. This down here is the foundation, okay? I just talked about the easy training. We built the mitochondria, and we're strong, and we're able to buffer off lactate and can take intensities. And up here, that's the hard training that we put on top. So as you can see, is this a house you want to live in? If just a little bird lands on this roof, the whole thing will fall apart, and you're probably gonna die. It's a bit extreme. But here, you want a house with a solid foundation, okay? Those walls are built solidly down here. And then you want to build a roof on top. You can't build the roof and then under it build the house. Doesn't work. And the same applies here in the concept why we need to train easy and really make sure that we have a super strong foundation. The more mitochondria we have and the better our foundation, the higher we can build and the better we can get and the more hard training we can sustain. So that's a concept that a lot of people do wrong. In the beginning, they don't build a base, but they want to have fun and they immediately go hard. Meanwhile, another athlete builds a bigger base, and then 6 months down the road, the first athlete still will only do their 4-minute intervals, but the other athlete is able to handle 8, 9, 10, 12-minute intervals at way higher powers because they have the ability to withstand that. They have enough mitochondria that produce the energy and they're just way, way better. So, build your base. The solution for this? A lot of people, like I said, they just train too hard during the easy sessions. So it helps to just, if you know your training zones, stick to them. That's helpful, right? Check your heart rate, even if you have a bad day that it doesn't go too high. But if that is all too complicated for you, one simple solution, just breathe through your nose. When you have to start breathing through your mouth, you're going too hard. On to the last one here, ego. Goes hand in hand what we just had with the easy training. Don't compare yourself with other athletes, with social media. It can be super rough to have this comparison in your face all the time and you don't know what other people are doing. Just don't compare yourself to other people. It's rough, especially in the beginning. You're learning. It's cool to have a friend group where you push each other or a training group and you work out together, you have fun together. But as soon as you start to look on social media and be like, oh, what is this athlete doing? Oh, this athlete is training like this. Oh, panic, panic, panic. Gotta do the same, otherwise I'm not good enough. It's a circle that's super toxic and dangerous. So definitely avoid that. And that, like I said, goes hand in hand with the thing before. If someone's passing you on the road, let them pass. You do your own thing. You do your breathing through the nose, easy going. And then down the road in the race, you're going to show them who's boss, right? So leave your ego at home. It takes hard work to get there. I know this. But the earlier you get this point, the better for you and your performance and your life. You're going to have way more fun and you're going to develop way better. And that concludes our little journey and the biggest mistakes in endurance training. I hope you were able to learn something and that it helps you. If you have any training questions, either leave a comment here or send me a mail to info@konaendurance.com and leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. If you see this, you watched the whole video. I appreciate that a lot. See you next time.